What is up guys, Tyrus here and welcome back to another workout video on the channel. It's been a while guys, it has been a long ass time since the last time I made a workout video on my channel, but I am back now. You know, I'm back onto the grind and it's time to get this body built once again. As you guys can tell by the title, in today's video I'm going to be bringing you guys with me, you know, on my leg day workout. I'm going to be showing you guys what I do in my leg day, and hopefully you guys can implement this as well into your leg day training if you're struggling to find, you know, a good leg day plan, shall I say. So the first exercise I like to start off with is barbell squats. Squats is such a fundamental exercise, which is just so fundamental and so needed when you're doing legs. It's a compound exercise, meaning it targets more than one muscle group, such as your quads, such as your hamstrings, such as your glutes. So it's just such an important exercise and really just strengthens you know, your posterior chain. Such a powerful and just a great exercise in general. Before we get into any sets, the first thing I do like to do, however, is warm up my muscles. I like to warm up my quads, I like to warm up my hamstrings, I like to warm up my groin area, my hip flexors, because warming up is so important, especially when you are training legs. Especially as well, when you do get older, you will notice that you will need a lot more time to warm up, especially when you're training legs, because your legs could get very stiff as well depending on the weather outside. So I always like to warm up for around, I don't know, around 5 minutes, a little 5-minute warm up. And then I like to do a warm up set, maybe 2 warm up sets of just the barbell alone, and then I'll do another warm up set with 10 kg and then another warm up set with 20 kg, which will be 4 sets altogether of just me warming up. I'm not going too crazy here, I'm just making sure that my quads, my hamstrings, my groin, everything just feels warm before I actually get into my working set. So I recommend you guys take around 5 minutes just to warm up, just to do the same and make sure everything's warm, to prevent injury and to prevent stiffness, and to just make sure that you can get the best, you know, training and the best, you know, use of your muscles all together without anything feeling stiff and anything hurting. Going into our actual working set, we do 3 sets all together, and like I said, this exercise is going to target our quads, it's going to target our hamstrings, and it's going to also target our glutes. I do around 8 to 10 reps altogether, usually when I'm training squats, or sometimes I'll do around 6 to 8 reps depending on how heavy I'm going that day. But in today's video, the case is I'm doing around 8 to 10 reps and repeating for 3 sets. As you guys can see, I'm using 80 kg. I was obviously able to do a lot more, around 100 before. You know, I've been out the gym for a while, but obviously it's one of those things where when you go back to the gym after a while, you have to kind of lower your ego, because you're not going to be able to do the same weight that you've done before. Alright, now moving on to our second exercise of the day, we're then going to be moving on to leg press. Leg press is going to target our quads, it's going to target our hamstrings, and it's also going to target our glutes as well to some extent. Once again, this is going to be a common theme. You'll notice that before every new type of movement that I do, I like to warm up for just 1 set, because one thing about my body in general, especially my legs, is when I'm doing a new movement, my legs have to kind of get used to that because I'm in a new kind of position. So as you guys can see here, I like to warm up for just 1 set, usually around 1 plate on each side, or maybe 2 plates on each side, just to get used to the movement. And then, you know, I get into my actual working set. Once again, we're going to aim for 3 sets altogether, and I like to aim for around 8 to 10 reps, or 8 to 12 reps as well, especially on this exercise, depending on the weight that I use. As you guys can see here, I'm doing 4 plates. You guys as well will notice that if your legs are higher up on the leg press, that you'll feel more of your hamstrings being worked, you know, and more of your quads being worked. Whereas if your feet is in a lower position, meaning your feet's a bit lower, you know, down the platform, you'll feel more of your quads being worked. So it really depends on what muscle group you want to, you know, put more emphasis on. But yeah, once again, 3 sets and around 8 to 10 reps for each set that we do. All right, now moving on to our third exercise of the day. We're then going to be moving on to leg extensions. We're going to be doing this with 3 sets once again. I like to do around 8 to 10 reps, like I said, once again, when I'm doing leg extensions. And I really like to just feel the contraction and just feel my quads stretch, you know. I like to just take my time with this. I don't really like speeding through it, you know. I like to really have that kind of slow to medium pace with most muscle groups in general, not just my legs, you know, not just my legs. But yeah, leg extension is one of those exercises which I really love doing. Sometimes I like to swap between leg extension and Bulgarian split squats depending on how busy the gym is, because leg extension is not always free. I would say Bulgarian split squats are definitely the harder exercise. So mentally you have to really be strong for Bulgarian split squats. But you know, regardless, you do get both results. You do get, shall I say, good results, you know, in both exercises. It just really depends on what you prefer and what your preference is. Alright, so now moving on to our 4th exercise of the day. We're then going to be moving on to dumbbell Romanian deadlifts. This is an exercise which I have incorporated into my training the past, let's say, 2 months or so, before I obviously took that break. And this is one of those exercises which I really enjoy doing. Romanian deadlifts is one of those exercises which strengthens your posterior chain. It's really going to target your hamstrings. You're going to feel a crazy stretch, and you're also going to feel your lower back as well being worked. You're going to feel that as well, you know. It's going to help your posture, and it's just going to be a great hamstring builder altogether, you know, in general. With Romanian deadlifts, I think I do around 24 kg, around that. Usually I'll hover around 24, 26, 28 kg, around there, or even 22 when I'm doing dumbbell, you know, RDLs. And I like to repeat this exercise once again for 3 sets altogether, and I like to aim for around 8 to 10 reps once again. With RDLs, you want to really take your time. You don't want to be rushing this exercise at all, you know. Go down slowly, and then you want to come up and really squeeze your hamstrings, squeeze your glutes, and squeeze your lower back as well. You'll feel your glutes being worked, your hamstrings being worked, and you'll feel your lower back as well being worked. But it's such a fundamental exercise that really does strengthen, you know, your posterior chain. All right, now last but not least, we're then going to be moving on to calf raises, or shall I say, you know, seated calf raises. This is my first time using a seated calf raise seated calf raise machine. Usually the ones that I use are always standing, or you're just in a much higher posture. But yeah, this is my first time using it, and I gotta say, you know, this is quite decent, you know, it really is. To be fair, I do prefer the standard one. I always put that number 1, but this is also a great, you know, movement that I am starting to like as well. With quads, I always like to go quite high with this. I like to go for around 10 to 15 or 20, 12 to 20 reps when I'm doing my quads. I like to really pump as much blood to the muscle as possible. I train my quads the same way I train my shoulders, you know. I always aim for high reps when I'm doing this, and I like to repeat this for around 3 to 4 sets. I just like to keep everything high when I'm training my quads. But yeah, I guess that was my leg day video, but hopefully this guys helped you out and gave you a bit of an idea of what I do in my leg day sessions. I definitely want to do a lot more leg day videos, because like I said, I'm really enjoying legs, man. I really am enjoying legs. Let me know in the comments if you got any questions, you know, any exercise, you know, questions, or anything in general. But you know, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.